Warlord Grixnon stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Death's Edge. Around him, 500 of the most powerful warships in Wrath space waited in battle formation. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "Status report," Grixnon demanded. His voice echoed through the massive command center. "The unknown vessel will enter weapons range in 30 minutes, Warlord," his tactical officer reported. "It continues on a direct course with no course changes." Grixnon smiled, showing his sharp teeth. He had fought in dozens of battles and never lost. Today would be no different. One small ship against his entire armada was not even a fair fight. "Send the standard warning," he ordered. "Tell them to surrender or be destroyed." The communications officer transmitted the message on all known frequencies. They waited for a response. None came. "Typical," Grixnon muttered. "Probably some primitive species that does not even understand our language. We will blow them apart and study the wreckage later." Unknown to the Wrath forces, the small vessel approaching their fleet was called the Soul's Pride. Captain Park Do-hyun sat in his command chair, looking at the massive display screen showing hundreds of hostile ships. "Sir, we are receiving what appears to be a threat message," reported Lieutenant Commander Yoon Na-young from her communication station. "The translation software is having trouble with their language, but the meaning seems clear. They want us to surrender." Captain Park frowned. This was humanity's first journey beyond their home system. They had come in peace, hoping to find other intelligent life in the galaxy. Instead, they had found a hostile fleet pointing weapons at them. "Have you tried responding with our peaceful intentions?" Park asked. "Yes, sir. I have sent friendship messages in over 200 languages." No response. Commander Lee Hyman looked up from her tactical station. "Captain, my sensors show these ships are armed with what appear to be fusion-based weapons. Very primitive, but they have a lot of them." Dr. Kim Minho, the ship's science officer, studied his readings. "Captain, these beings seem to follow a philosophy of attacking first. Their formation is purely aggressive. I detect no diplomatic or scientific vessels in their fleet." Park sighed. Humanity had hoped their first contact with alien life would be peaceful. Instead, they faced what appeared to be a militant civilization that only understood violence. "Continue attempting communication," Park ordered. "Maybe we can avoid bloodshed." Back on the Death's Edge, Warlord Grixnon grew impatient. The unknown vessel had not responded to their demands. It simply continued forward as if the massive Wrath fleet did not exist. "Arrogant fools," Grixnon growled. "They think one ship can challenge our entire armada. We will show them the price of disrespecting the Wrath hegemony." "Warlord, the vessel is now in weapons range," the tactical officer reported. "All ships, prepare to fire. Target their engines first. I want prisoners to interrogate." The 500 Wrath battleships powered up their weapons. Each ship carried planet-killer missiles and fusion cannons capable of melting mountains. Together, they possessed enough destructive power to sterilize an entire world. On the Soul's Pride, Engineer Choi Sun-woo monitored his defensive systems. "Captain, they are charging weapons. Multiple targeting locks detected. Shields to maximum," Park ordered reluctantly. "All hands prepare for defensive action." The human ship's shields activated. They were based on technology that manipulated space-time itself, creating barriers that could redirect energy and matter around the vessel. To human scientists, they were a natural extension of their understanding of quantum mechanics. To the watching Wrath fleet, they were completely invisible. "Fire," Warlord Grixnon commanded. 500 warships unleashed their fury simultaneously. Thousands of missiles and energy beams converged on the small human vessel. The amount of destructive force was enough to crack a planet's crust. The weapons struck their target in a brilliant explosion of light and energy. The combined firepower of the entire Wrath armada focused on one small ship. When the light faded, the Soul's Pride remained exactly where it had been. Not a single mark appeared on its hull. The ship had absorbed the entire barrage without even slowing down. "Impossible," Grixnon roared. "Nothing can survive that much firepower." "Sir, our weapons had no effect," the tactical officer reported in a shaking voice. "The target shows no damage whatsoever." On the human ship, Captain Park shook his head sadly. "They attacked without provocation. They gave us no choice." Commander Lee Hyman looked up from her station. "Captain, their weapons were completely ineffective against our shields." "Should I return fire?" "Minimal force only," Park ordered. "Use the point defense system. Try to disable their weapons without destroying their ships." Lee Hyman activated the ship's point defense grid. These weapons were designed to clear space debris and small asteroids from the ship's path. They were the weakest weapons the humans possessed. Thin beams of coherent energy reached out from the Soul's Pride. Each beam was precisely targeted at the weapon systems of the Wrath ships. The technology was so advanced that it could disable electronics without harming the crew. But the humans had miscalculated. What they considered harmless point defense weapons operated on principles far beyond Wrath understanding. The energy beams did not just disable the ship's weapons. They completely overloaded every system on board. The first Wrath battleship exploded in a ball of fire, then the second, then the third. In exactly 3 minutes and 47 seconds, all 500 Wrath warships were reduced to expanding clouds of glowing debris. The Soul's Pride sat alone in space, surrounded by the wreckage of an entire fleet. "My God," whispered Dr. Kim Minho. "What have we done?" Captain Park stared at the destruction on his screen. They had only intended to disable the hostile ship's weapons. Instead, they had accidentally destroyed an entire armada. "Sir," Engineer Choi Sunwoo said quietly, "I think our point defense system was too powerful for their technology. Their ships could not handle even our weakest weapons." Commander Lee Hyemin checked her sensors. "No life signs detected in the debris field, Captain." I think we killed them all." The bridge fell silent. Humanity's first contact with alien life had ended in the complete annihilation of their attackers. It was not what they had wanted, but the aliens had given them no choice. Across the galaxy, monitoring stations detected the energy signatures of the battle. The impossible had happened. 500 of the Wrath hegemony's most powerful warships had been destroyed by a single unknown vessel. At Deep Space Monitoring Station Omega-7, Commander Veltar watched his sensors in disbelief. The massive Wrath fleet had simply vanished from his screens. In its place, he detected only the energy signatures of expanding debris. "Sir," Lieutenant Koldar said in a whisper, "the unknown vessel is intact. It shows no signs of damage." Veltar immediately activated his emergency communication system. Emperor Zethmos appeared as a hologram, flanked by his military advisors. "Report," the Emperor commanded. "Your Majesty, the Wrath fleet has been completely destroyed. All 500 ships. The unknown vessel appears undamaged." The hologram chamber fell silent. Admiral Kexval stepped forward. "That is impossible. No single ship could destroy an entire Wrath armada." "Yet it happened, Admiral," Veltar replied. "I have recorded the entire engagement. The battle lasted less than 4 minutes. Dr. Yextal studied the energy readings. The power levels are beyond anything in our experience. This vessel possesses technology that makes our most advanced ships look like primitive rockets." Emperor Zethmos stared at the data for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was very quiet. "Send messages to all Imperial fleets. No Imperial vessel is to approach or engage this unknown ship under any circumstances. We are dealing with something far beyond our capabilities." The Emperor's advisors looked shocked. The mighty Corvin Empire, conqueror of thousands of worlds, was backing down from a single ship. But they had seen what happened to the Wrath fleet. No one wanted to share that fate. On the Soul's Pride, Captain Park made a difficult decision. "Set course for the nearest populated system. We need to make contact with someone who might be more reasonable than these Wrath." "Sir," Yoon Na-young said from her communication station, "I am detecting multiple transmissions across several systems. The news of what happened here is spreading quickly." Park nodded grimly. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy in the worst possible way. Now they would have to deal with the consequences. The small human ship turned away from the debris field and continued its journey into the unknown galaxy. Behind it, the wreckage of 500 warships served as a warning to anyone else who might consider attacking the mysterious newcomers. The galaxy would never be the same. Commander Veltar stared at the glowing screen in front of him. The numbers made no sense. He rubbed his 4 eyes and looked again. "Still the same impossible readings. Run the scan again," he told his assistant. The young Corvin officer pressed several buttons on his control panel. The same data appeared on the main display. Veltar had worked at Deep Space Monitoring Station Omega-7 for 30 years. He had seen meteor showers, solar flares, and dying stars. He had tracked pirate ships and merchant vessels across the galaxy, but he had never seen anything like this. The signal came from the outer rim. That was the dark space beyond the known galaxy. No one lived there. No ships traveled there. The Empire's maps showed nothing but empty space for thousands of light years. But something was moving in that darkness. Something big. "Sir, the object is accelerating," his assistant said. The young officer's voice shook with worry. Veltar looked at the speed readings. His blood went cold. Nothing could move that fast. The laws of physics said it was impossible. Even the Empire's fastest ships could not reach such speeds. "Check the sensors," Veltar ordered. "Something is wrong with our equipment." The assistant ran full diagnostics on all systems. Everything worked perfectly. The readings were real. The unknown object was traveling at 90% of light speed. And it was still getting faster. Veltar activated the emergency communication system. A hologram of Emperor Zethmos appeared in the center of the room. The Emperor looked annoyed at being disturbed. "This better be important." "Commander," the Emperor said in his deep voice, "Your Majesty, we have detected an unknown object moving from the outer rim. It displays impossible speed and energy readings." The Emperor's expression changed from annoyance to interest. "Show me." Veltar transmitted the sensor data to the Imperial Palace. The Emperor studied the information for several minutes. His face grew serious. "Have you checked the archives?" the Emperor asked. "Yes, Your Majesty. The archives show no match for this energy signature. No known species uses this type of propulsion." The Emperor was quiet for a long time. The Imperial archives contained information about every intelligent species in the galaxy, over 50,000 different races. Their technologies, their cultures, their military capabilities. Everything was recorded and stored. If something was not in the archives, it did not exist. That was what every Imperial citizen believed. "Where is this object heading?" the Emperor asked. Veltar checked the trajectory calculations. "Wrath space, Your Majesty. It will reach their territory in 6 hours." The Emperor smiled coldly. The Wrath hegemony were the Empire's biggest rivals. They controlled several hundred star systems and had one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy. They were also extremely aggressive and had started 3 major wars in the last century. "Perhaps this unknown visitor will solve our Wrath problem for us," the Emperor said. "Continue monitoring and report any changes immediately." The hologram disappeared. Veltar turned back to his sensors. The object continued its impossible journey toward Wrath space. Meanwhile, in the Imperial Palace, Emperor Zethmos called an emergency meeting of his top advisors. Admiral Kexaval arrived first. He was the commander of the Imperial Navy and had never lost a battle. "What do we know about this object?" Admiral Kexaval asked as he studied the data. "Nothing," the Emperor replied. "It is completely unknown to us. No matching technology in our records. That is impossible, Your Majesty. We have catalogued every spacefaring civilization for the past 10,000 years. Yet here we are," the Emperor said. "Something exists that we know nothing about." More advisors arrived. Scientists, military commanders, and intelligence chiefs filled the room. They all looked at the same data. They all reached the same conclusion. This was something new. Dr. Yextal, the Empire's chief scientist, spoke first. "The energy readings suggest technology far beyond anything we have encountered. This vessel, if that is what it is, could destroy our entire fleet. One ship against the Imperial Navy?" Admiral Kexval laughed. "Impossible. Look at these power levels," Dr. Yextal insisted. "This single object generates more energy than our capital ships, and it is maintaining impossible speeds without any signs of stress or damage." The room fell silent. The Empire's strength came from superior technology and overwhelming numbers. They had conquered half the galaxy through careful planning and massive military force, but this unknown object made their greatest achievements look primitive. "Perhaps it is just passing through," suggested General Trackmore, the head of Imperial Intelligence. "It may have no interest in our affairs." "It is heading directly for Wrath space," the Emperor pointed out. "That does not sound like passing through." The advisors continued to debate possibilities. Some thought it might be an ancient weapon from a dead civilization. Others believed it could be a natural phenomenon they had never seen before. A few worried it might be the advanced scout for an invasion force. Back at monitoring station Omega-7, Veltar watched the object continue its journey. It had been accelerating for hours but showed no signs of slowing down. The energy output remained steady and strong. His assistant, Lieutenant Koldar, brought him a cup of hot tava. "Sir, I have been thinking, what if this object is not from our galaxy?" Veltar paused with the cup halfway to his lips. What do you mean? The trajectory analysis shows it came from beyond the galactic rim. What if it traveled here from another galaxy entirely? The idea was terrifying. The Empire controlled thousands of star systems and billions of subjects. They were the dominant power in their region of space. But if beings from another galaxy possessed such advanced technology, the Empire might be nothing more than primitive savages. Send an encrypted message to all monitoring stations, Veltar ordered. Tell them to watch for similar objects. If there are more out there, we need to know. The hours passed slowly. The unknown object maintained its course toward Wrath space. Imperial spy networks tried to intercept any communications from the vessel, but they detected nothing. No radio signals, no quantum transmissions, no subspace messages. It traveled in complete silence. As the object approached the edge of Wrath territory, Veltar received new orders from the Emperor. All Imperial forces were to maintain maximum distance from the unknown vessel. No attempts at contact were to be made. They would observe and record everything. The Wrath, however, had different plans. Veltar detected massive movement in Wrath space. Hundreds of warships were mobilizing. The Wrath military was preparing for what they believed would be an easy victory against a single unknown vessel. They have no idea what they are facing, Lieutenant Koldar whispered. Veltar activated long-range scanners to monitor Wrath fleet movements. Over 500 battleships were converging on the unknown object's projected course. It was the largest military force the Wrath had assembled in decades. The Empire's intelligence reports described the Wrath as aggressive and overconfident. They attacked first and asked questions later. If something entered their space without permission, they destroyed it. This time, Veltar suspected, they might have made their final mistake. The unknown object continued its journey, apparently unaware of the massive fleet waiting to intercept it, or perhaps it simply did not care. Veltar settled back in his command chair and prepared to witness what might be the most important event in galactic history. Something was about to happen that would change everything. He just hoped the Empire would survive whatever came next. Emperor Zethmos paced back and forth in his private chamber. The holographic displays around him showed star maps, fleet positions, and intelligence reports. None of them contained the information he desperately needed. Who were these newcomers? Where did they come from? And most importantly, how many more ships like theirs existed? Your Majesty, his personal aide announced, Intelligence Chief Voxrill has arrived. A tall, thin Corvin entered the chamber. Voxrill controlled the Empire's vast spy network. His agents operated in every known civilization across the galaxy. If anyone could find answers, it would be him. Report, the Emperor commanded. Voxrill bowed slightly. Your Majesty, I have deployed every available agent to investigate this unknown species. The results are disturbing. Explain. We have found nothing, Your Majesty. No records, no legends, no ancient texts, no archaeological evidence. No whispered rumors in the darkest corners of space. It is as if these beings appeared from nowhere. The Emperor stopped pacing. That is impossible. Every species leaves traces. Trade routes, exploration vessels, refugee populations, something. Yet we have found none of those things, Voxrill replied. My agents have questioned thousands of contacts across dozens of civilizations. No one has ever seen technology like this before. Meanwhile, the Soul's Pride continued its journey through space. Captain Park had decided to avoid populated systems until they could better understand the political situation in this part of the galaxy. Dr. Kim Minho worked in his laboratory, studying the sensor readings from their encounter with the Wrath fleet. As a xenobiologist, he had hoped to make peaceful contact with alien species. Instead, they had been forced to defend themselves against aggressive attackers. Captain, Dr. Kim said over the ship's communication system, I have completed my analysis of the hostile aliens we encountered. Park arrived in the laboratory a few minutes later. What did you learn? They appear to be a warrior culture, Dr. Kim explained, pointing to biological scans displayed on his screen. Their physiology shows adaptations for combat. Enhanced muscle density, reinforced bone structure, improved reflexes. They have evolved specifically for violence. That explains their immediate hostility, Park said. What about their technology? Engineer Choi Sunwoo joined the conversation from his nearby workstation. Captain, their weapons were based on nuclear fusion principles. Very crude compared to our quantum-based systems. I estimate their technology level is roughly equivalent to early human spaceflight, perhaps 500 years behind us. Yet they had faster-than-light travel, Park pointed out. Yes, but their method appears to be simple space folding. Effective but energy-intensive. Our quantum tunneling drives are far more efficient. Dr. Kim pulled up another display. I have been monitoring galactic communications since the battle. The news has spread to dozens of civilizations. Most seem to be in a state of panic. Panic? Park asked. They are afraid of us, Captain. Several governments have already issued statements of surrender, begging us not to attack them. Park felt sick to his stomach. Humanity had entered the galaxy hoping to make friends and share knowledge. Instead, they had accidentally terrified everyone they encountered. Back in the Imperial Palace, Emperor Zethmos met with his top scientists. Dr. Yextal had been analyzing the sensor data from the battle for days. His findings were troubling. The unknown vessel's technology operates on principles we do not understand, Dr. Yextal explained. Their weapons appear to manipulate matter at the quantum level. Their shields bend space-time itself. How is that possible? Admiral Kexaval demanded. We have studied physics for thousands of years. These technologies should not exist. Yet they clearly do exist, Dr. Yextal replied. Furthermore, the energy readings suggest their power source is not fusion, antimatter, or any other method we recognize. They may have solved the fundamental problems of energy generation. The room fell silent. The Empire's technological superiority had always been their greatest advantage. Now they faced beings whose science made their greatest achievements look primitive. What about their ship's construction? The Emperor asked. The hull appears to be composed of materials not found in our periodic table. They may be using artificially created elements with properties we cannot predict. General Trackmore, the military commander, leaned forward. How many ships like this might exist? Unknown, Dr. Yextal admitted. This could be their most advanced prototype, or it could be a standard exploration vessel. We have no way to determine their fleet strength. Lieutenant Commander Yoon Na-young worked tirelessly in the communications center of the Soul's Pride. She had been monitoring galactic radio transmissions, trying to understand the local political situation. Captain, she called over the intercom, I think I have identified the major powers in this region of space. Park arrived at her station. What have you learned? There appear to be several large civilizations competing for territory and resources. The beings we fought, the Wrath, were one of the more aggressive groups, but there is a larger power called the Corvan Empire that seems to control much of this area. Are they hostile like the Wrath? Unclear, sir. Their communications suggest they are more cautious and methodical. They appear to be studying us rather than attacking immediately. Dr. Kim joined them. I have been analyzing the political broadcasts. It seems our encounter with the Wrath has destabilized the entire region. 3 smaller civilizations have already announced their surrender to us. Surrender? Park looked confused. We have not asked anyone to surrender. They appear to assume that we are conquerors, Dr. Kim explained. The galaxy seems to operate on the principle that might makes right. Since we demonstrated superior military power, they believe we intend to conquer them. Engineer Choi Sunwoo spoke up from his workstation. Captain, I have been monitoring their technology broadcasts. Their understanding of science is very limited compared to ours. They still use crude fusion reactors and chemical propulsion. How far behind are they? Park asked. In terms of energy generation and propulsion, at least several centuries. In terms of material science and quantum mechanics, perhaps 1,000 years or more. The implications were staggering. Humanity had stumbled into a galaxy full of civilizations that were technologically primitive compared to Earth's current level of development. At intelligence headquarters on the Imperial capital world, Foxrill studied reports from his field agents. Every spy in the galaxy was searching for information about the mysterious newcomers. So far, they had found nothing useful. Sir, his assistant reported, Agent Zekhan has discovered something interesting. Voxrill reviewed the report. One of his deep cover agents had been monitoring an archaeological expedition in the Outer Rim. The scientists had found ancient ruins that contained star charts showing regions beyond the galactic edge. Could the unknown beings have come from outside our galaxy? The assistant asked. It is possible, Voxrill replied. That would explain why we have no records of them. But traveling between galaxies requires technology we can barely imagine. The agent's report included photographs of the ancient star charts. They showed pathways through the dark space between galaxies. Mathematical calculations covered the walls of the ruins, describing energy requirements and navigation methods. If this is accurate, Voxril said quietly, then intergalactic travel has been possible for much longer than we thought. There may be entire civilizations out there that we know nothing about. He immediately sent an encrypted message to Emperor Zethmos. The Empire needed to prepare for the possibility that the unknown vessel was not alone. On the Soul's Pride, Captain Park called a meeting of his senior officers. They gathered in the main conference room to discuss their situation. We need to establish formal contact with one of the local governments, Park began. Our presence has clearly upset the balance of power in this region. Commander Lee Hyemin looked at her tactical reports. Sir, I recommend avoiding the more aggressive civilizations. The Corvan Empire appears to be the most stable and rational group in this area. Agreed, Dr. Kim said. Their communications suggest they prefer diplomacy to immediate violence. They might be willing to listen to our peaceful intentions. Engineer Choi Sunwoo raised a concern. Captain, we need to be careful about sharing our technology. Based on what I have observed, our most basic systems are far beyond their current capabilities. Even simple medical scanners or communication devices could revolutionize their civilization. Yoon Na-young nodded. The Universal Translator has been analyzing their languages. They appear to be very hierarchical societies with strict social orders. Our concepts of equality and cooperation might be difficult for them to understand. Park considered their options. Humanity had always believed that contact with alien civilizations would be one of the greatest moments in their history. Instead, it had become a complex diplomatic and ethical challenge. We will approach the Corvan Empire's border and request a meeting, Park decided. We need to explain our peaceful intentions and try to calm the fears we have inadvertently created. As the Soul's Pride changed course toward Imperial space, monitoring stations across the galaxy tracked its movement. The unknown vessel that had destroyed an entire Wrath fleet was heading directly toward the heart of the most powerful civilization. The Soul's Pride stopped at the edge of Corvan space. Captain Park had decided to wait for permission before entering Imperial territory. He hoped this would demonstrate humanity's peaceful intentions. Lieutenant Commander Yoon Na-young transmitted a message on all Imperial frequencies. This is Captain Park Do-hyun of the vessel. Soul's Pride, we come in peace and request permission to speak with your leaders. The message was received at Imperial Border Station Alpha 9, Commander. Lexitor nearly fell from his chair when he heard it. The ship that had destroyed 500 Wrath battleships was politely asking permission to enter Imperial space. Get me the Emperor immediately. Lexitor ordered his communications officer. Within minutes, Emperor Zethmos appeared as a hologram in the border station's command center. Report, Commander. Your Majesty, the unknown vessel has arrived at our border. They are requesting permission to meet with our leadership. The Emperor was quiet for several moments. His advisors had debated this possibility for days. Some wanted to refuse contact and hoped the vessel would leave. Others suggested immediate surrender to avoid the fate of the Wrath fleet. Grant them permission to enter, the Emperor finally decided. But maintain maximum distance. I will meet with them personally. Back on the Soul's Pride, Captain Park received confirmation from Imperial authorities. They would be allowed to proceed to the capital system under escort. Several Imperial ships would guide them to a neutral meeting location. Captain, Engineer Choi Sunwoo reported, I am detecting 6 Imperial vessels approaching our position. Their technology appears similar to the Wrath ships we encountered, but slightly more advanced. No hostile actions, Park ordered. We are guests in their territory. The Imperial escort ships took positions around the Soul's Pride. Captain Vexran, commanding the lead Imperial vessel, had volunteered for this dangerous assignment. His crew was terrified, but they maintained professional composure. Unknown vessel. This is Captain Vexran of the Imperial Navy. Please follow our lead to the meeting coordinates. Acknowledged, Captain Vexran. We will follow your ships. The simple politeness of the response surprised Vexran. He had expected arrogance or threats from beings capable of such destruction. Instead, they sounded almost friendly. Dr. Kim Minho studied the Imperial ships through his sensors. Captain, these beings appear to be related to the Wrath species we encountered earlier. Similar physiology, but their behavior is much more controlled. Their ships are also more sophisticated, added engineer Choi Sunwoo. Still primitive by our standards, but they show better engineering than the Wrath vessels. The small fleet traveled for several hours to reach the meeting point. It was a neutral space station in an empty system, far from any populated worlds. Emperor Zethmos had chosen the location carefully. If something went wrong, the damage would be limited. The space station had been hastily modified for the meeting. The largest conference room was equipped with advanced life support systems to accommodate unknown alien biology. Weapon scanners and defensive barriers protected the Imperial delegation. Emperor Zethmos arrived with a small group of advisors. Admiral Kexval, Dr. Yextal, and Intelligence Chief Voxrill represented the Empire's military, scientific, and intelligence capabilities. Your Majesty, the station commander reported, the unknown vessel has docked successfully. They are requesting permission to board. How many of them? The Emperor asked. 3 individuals, Your Majesty. They appear to be unarmed. The Emperor nodded. Allow them to board. Maintain full security protocols. Captain Park, Dr. Kim Minho, and Lieutenant Commander Yoon Na-young left their ship and entered the space station. They wore simple diplomatic uniforms and carried only translation devices. The Imperial representatives waited in the conference room. When the humans entered, both sides studied each other carefully. The Corvins were tall, with 4 arms and smooth gray skin. Their eyes were large and dark, adapted for low-light conditions. They moved with precise, controlled gestures that suggested military discipline. The humans appeared much smaller and more fragile. They had only 2 arms and strange hair covering parts of their heads. Their eyes were smaller but seemed to take in everything around them. I am Emperor Zethmos of the Corvin Empire, the Emperor said formally. I welcome you to our territory. Captain Park bowed slightly. I am Captain Park Do-hyun of the human exploration vessel Soul's Pride. This is Dr. Kim Minho, our science officer, and Lieutenant Commander Yoon Na-young, our communications specialist. We thank you for agreeing to meet with us. Human, the Emperor repeated. We have no record of your species in our archives. That is understandable, Park replied. This is our first journey beyond our home system. We have never encountered other intelligent life before. The Imperial delegation exchanged glances. Admiral Kexval leaned forward. Your first journey beyond your home system? Then how do you possess such advanced technology? Dr. Kim Minho spoke up. We developed our technology through scientific research and cooperation. Our entire species worked together to solve the challenges of space travel. Your entire species? Dr. Yextal looked confused. How many governments control your homeworld? 1, Park answered simply. We unified our planet several decades ago through peaceful negotiations. The room fell silent. No one in the Imperial delegation could imagine an entire planet working together without conquest or force. Intelligence Chief Voxrill asked the next question. Where is your homeworld located? Yoon Na-young activated a small holographic projector. It showed a star map of the local region. We come from a system you probably consider empty space. Our star is small and located far from any major trade routes. Dr. Yextal studied the coordinates. That region is marked as uninhabited in our surveys. Your surveys were correct at the time, Dr. Kim said. Humans only achieved spaceflight 200 years ago. We have been exploring our local star system, but this is our first journey to distant stars. 200 years? Admiral Kexval could not hide his shock. The Corvin Empire has had spaceflight for over 10,000 years. Yet your technology appears to be centuries behind ours. Dr. Kim observed politely. How is that possible? Emperor Zethmos felt a chill run through his body. These beings had achieved in 2 centuries what the Empire had failed to accomplish in 10 millennia. Our development has been gradual, the Emperor said carefully. We have focused on territorial expansion and military strength. We chose a different path, Park explained. Instead of expansion, we focused on understanding. We studied science, developed new technologies, and learned to work together. Dr. Kim activated his own holographic display. It showed images of Earth, vast cities, green forests, blue oceans, and billions of humans living in peace. Our homeworld supports over 12 billion people, Dr. Kim said. We have eliminated poverty, disease, and war. Every human contributes to our collective knowledge. The Imperial delegation stared at the images in amazement. The human homeworld looked like paradise compared to the conquered planets of the Empire. Engineer Choi Sunwoo's voice came through their communication devices. Captain, I have been analyzing the space station's power systems. May I share some technical observations? Park nodded. Go ahead, Engineer Choi. Your fusion reactors are impressive for their age, but they are very inefficient. We developed quantum energy conversion about 50 years ago. It produces 1,000 times more power with no waste products. Dr. Yextal leaned forward eagerly. Quantum energy conversion? How is that possible? We learned to extract energy directly from the quantum vacuum, Engineer Choi explained. The mathematics are complex, but the basic principle is quite simple once you understand quantum field theory. You have solved the energy crisis, Dr. Yextal whispered. Energy crisis? Dr. Kim looked confused. What crisis? Admiral Kexival answered grimly. Every civilization in the galaxy struggles to generate enough power for their growing populations. Wars have been fought over energy sources. That seems wasteful, Park commented. Why not work together to develop better technology? Because civilizations compete, the Emperor replied. The strong conquer the weak. That is the natural order, is it? Dr. Kim asked gently. Humans used to think that way too. We fought wars for thousands of years, but we discovered that cooperation produces better results than competition. Yoon Nayung added, when we unified our planet, our technological advancement accelerated dramatically. Sharing knowledge is more effective than hoarding it. Intelligence Chief Voxrill had remained quiet throughout the meeting. Now he asked the question that everyone was thinking. Why did you destroy the Wrath Fleet? Captain Park's expression grew sad. We did not want to destroy them. We tried to communicate peacefully, but they attacked without warning. We only used our defensive systems. Defensive systems? Admiral Kexival looked incredulous. You destroyed 500 battleships with defensive weapons? Our point defense system was designed to clear space debris, Engineer Choi explained. We did not realize that your weapons and ship designs were vulnerable to quantum disruption. We seriously underestimated the technological gap between our civilizations. The Imperial delegation sat in stunned silence. The most devastating military action in recent galactic history had been an accident. The humans had not even used their real weapons. Emperor Zethmo stood alone in his private chambers, staring out at the vast capital city below. Billions of Corvins lived and worked in the massive towers and districts that stretched to the horizon. They all depended on him to make the right decision. The meeting with the humans had ended 6 hours ago. Since then, reports had been flooding in from across the galaxy. Word of the peaceful contact was spreading faster than Imperial censors could control it. 3 more civilizations had formally surrendered to the humans without being asked. 2 others had requested meetings to discuss joining what they called the Human Cooperative. Several governments had collapsed, as their populations demanded to know why. Their leaders had hidden the existence of such advanced, peaceful beings. A soft chime announced a visitor. Admiral Kexival entered the chamber looking exhausted and confused. Your Majesty, the situation is escalating rapidly. Every intelligence network in the galaxy is trying to establish contact with the humans. Some are offering complete submission. Others want to form alliances. The Emperor continued to look out the window. What does our analysis tell us about their military capabilities? Dr. Yextal believes they could destroy our entire fleet without breaking their stride. Their casual mention of quantum energy conversion suggests technology thousands of years beyond ours. We are completely outclassed. And their intentions? Admiral Kexival hesitated. They appear to be genuine about their peaceful goals, Your Majesty. Every sensor reading and behavioral analysis supports their claims. They truly seem to want cooperation rather than conquest. Meanwhile, aboard the Soul's Pride, Captain Park reviewed reports from his crew. The meeting had gone better than expected, but the galaxy's reaction was troubling. Captain, Lieutenant Commander Yoon Nayung reported, I am receiving thousands of messages from civilizations across this region. Most are requests for help or protection. Some are offering complete submission. Dr. Kim Minho looked up from his analysis station. The social structures we observed during our meeting suggest these civilizations have never experienced cooperation between equals. They only understand dominance and submission. Engineer Choi Sunwoo added his observations. Their technology development has been severely limited by competitive thinking. They waste enormous resources on weapons and territorial disputes instead of scientific advancement. What do you recommend? Park asked. We need to demonstrate our principles through actions, Dr. Kim suggested. Show them that cooperation produces better results than competition. Yoon Na-young had been monitoring galactic communications. Captain, I have identified several civilizations that are suffering from medical crises. We could offer assistance. What kind of crises? Plague outbreaks, genetic disorders, radiation poisoning from primitive technology. Problems we solved centuries ago. Park made his decision. Send a general message to all civilizations in this region. Offer medical assistance to anyone who needs it. No conditions, no payment required. On the imperial capital, Emperor Zethmos received the human message along with everyone else. He read it 3 times, unable to believe what he was seeing. The humans were offering free medical aid to anyone who asked. They wanted nothing in return except permission to help. It was unlike anything in galactic history. Your Majesty, Intelligence Chief Voxrill announced, 17 civilizations have already accepted the human offer. Early reports suggest their medical technology is miraculous. Dr. Yextel burst into the chamber holding a data tablet. Your Majesty, you must see this. The humans have shared basic medical scanners with the Zalari Republic. These devices can diagnose any disease instantly and suggest treatments. The Emperor examined the technical specifications. The human medical scanner was smaller than his hand, but more powerful than the Empire's largest hospital computers. How is this possible? They understand biology at the quantum level, Dr. Yextal explained excitedly. They can manipulate DNA, cure cancer, and regenerate lost limbs. Aging and disease are completely optional for them. Reports continued to arrive throughout the day. The humans had cured a plague that had killed millions on the hegemony worlds. They had provided clean energy systems to civilizations struggling with resource depletion. They had shared agricultural techniques that could feed entire star systems, all given freely with no demands or conditions. Captain Park watched the galactic response from his ship's bridge. The humans had helped over 30 civilizations in just 2 days. Each success encouraged others to request assistance. Captain, Dr. Kim reported, we have received a priority message from Earth. The Global Council has approved expanded contact protocols. Park read the message carefully. Earth's government was sending additional ships to help with the growing demand for assistance. Humanity was committed to sharing their knowledge with any civilization that wanted it. Sir, Engineer Choi Sun-woo announced, I have completed my analysis of local technology levels. Most civilizations are operating at roughly the same development stage. They appear to have reached a technological plateau. Why? Park asked. Competition, Captain. They spend most of their resources on military development and territorial disputes. Scientific research is limited to weapons and defenses. They have forgotten how to work together. Yoon Na-young looked up from her communication station. Captain, we are receiving a formal request from the Corvan Empire. Emperor Zethmos wants to meet again. The second meeting took place on the same neutral space station. This time, Emperor Zethmos came alone except for a small honor guard. He looked tired but determined. Captain Park, the Emperor began, I have spent the last 3 days studying your actions. You have helped dozens of civilizations without asking for anything in return. That is correct, Your Majesty. Why? What do you gain from such generosity? Captain Park thought carefully before answering. We gain friends, knowledge, and a better universe for everyone. When civilizations prosper, they can contribute to the advancement of all intelligent life. You speak of cooperation as if it were natural, the Emperor observed. But every civilization in this galaxy operates on principles of dominance and submission. The strong rule the weak. That is how it has always been. Dr. Kim Minho leaned forward. Your Majesty, what if there was a better way? What if civilizations could work together as equals? That is impossible. Someone must be in charge. Why? Yoon Na-young asked simply. Humans have billions of individuals, all working together without a single supreme ruler. We make decisions through discussion and consensus. The Emperor struggled to understand the concept. But how do you maintain order? How do you prevent chaos? Education, opportunity, and mutual respect, Park explained. When people have what they need and feel valued, they cooperate naturally. We would like to propose something, Dr. Kim said. A voluntary association of civilizations. Not an empire based on conquest, but a cooperative alliance based on mutual benefit. The Emperor stared at them. You want to create a galaxy-wide government? Not a government, Park corrected. A partnership. Each civilization would retain its independence and culture. But they would share knowledge, resources, and technology for everyone's benefit. What would you call such an organization? The Galactic Cooperative, Yoon Na-young suggested. Every member would have an equal voice in decisions that affect them all. Emperor Zethmos was quiet for a long time. The proposal went against everything he had been taught about power and leadership. But he had seen the results of human philosophy. Their approach worked better than anything the galaxy had known. What would happen to the Empire? He asked finally. The Empire could join as an equal member, Park assured him. Your people would benefit from advanced technology and peaceful cooperation. You would no longer need to maintain massive military forces or compete for resources. But I would no longer be an emperor. You would be something better. Dr. Kim said gently, a leader who helped create a new era of peace and prosperity for the entire galaxy. The Emperor made his decision. The Corvin Empire formally requests membership in this galactic cooperative. Within hours of the announcement, dozens of other civilizations followed the Empire's lead. The news spread across the galaxy at the speed of light. Ancient enemies began discussing peace treaties. Weapons were decommissioned and converted to peaceful uses. Scientists who had been working on military projects turned their attention to medicine, agriculture, and exploration. 6 months later, Captain Park stood on the observation deck of Cooperative Station Alpha, the new headquarters of the Galactic Cooperative. Through the massive windows, he could see ships from hundreds of different civilizations working together on joint projects. Former Imperial warships had been converted to exploration vessels. Wrath survivors, rescued from refugee camps, were learning human agricultural techniques to help feed their resettled populations. Scientists from dozens of species collaborated on research projects that would have been impossible alone. Captain, Yoon Na-young reported, we have received confirmation from Earth. 17 more civilizations have requested membership this week, Doctor. Kim Minho joined them at the observation window. The transformation has been remarkable. Disease rates are down 90% across member civilizations. Energy production has increased by a factor of 50. Agricultural yields have tripled,